Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Crypto Tyke here. How you all getting on? I am the inflation avoider, and I thought I'd just give a bit of an update on the whole Zcash situation, since it was a bit of a dip and I had a bit of dry powder ready to go in case of any dips, which were mainly actually aimed at a few things like Casper and other things, just in case anything significant happened again. But we're starting to look like we're through the worst of the problems now. But it's interesting, really, because I, yesterday in a video, said about the Casper community being Casper's biggest problem, and it being quite embarrassing sometimes holding Casper, because you hear the voices from some of the other people that hold it. A lot of people, people who call going from 4 cents to 5 cents a parabolic move or a massive increase. It really isn't. It's just an improvement. They all seem to like to leave me, give me shit in the comments because they're easily offended, and they're very, very... And every time they do this, they just tell me they don't know what they're talking about. And I got one in my Zcash story, having a laugh at myself, because I'm able to have a laugh at myself, people in the Casper community might want to sort of learn that skill, might be useful to them. And I think sometimes they assume that because I'm in my 40s that I mustn't know what I'm doing. I sort of comment on something else saying, sell crypto, buy gold. It's like, yeah, I'm already in gold, thanks very much. I was in it before retail started diving into it, so I'm nicely positioned there anyway. But yeah, the recent one, somebody talking about me not knowing what I'm doing, and I'd sort of thought that they hadn't watched the video, but they had, and it unsurprisingly, when I replied, they mentioned Casper. What a surprise. It's always people who hold Casper who just don't seem to have a clue. And I just want to explain this, right? And at this moment in time, because he was saying, I think, about selling Casper, I just want to explain something that happened, right? When I sold Casper, I didn't sell it all. Now, if I had done, I'd be even better off. But I sold it at around 9 cents, yeah? Use that money that I sold that on to buy Avalanche, yeah? I rode the price of Avalanche up, sold that at the top. I got very, very lucky with where I decided to sell that. And you can track that in the videos because I was explaining it at the time it happened and what I was doing. Now, Casper, as I remember, you guys will remember, I did pick up at 2 cents. I didn't manage to get it at 1 cent. I got it at 2 cents because the whole exchanges playing up a bit, trying to take orders through there, and I managed to get it at 2 cents. Can I just point out to you something really important for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, yeah? I was able to buy 6 times more Casper than I sold in that one order. 6 times more. And that's because of the extra money I'd made out of AVAX and selling Casper in the first place. And had I sold all my Casper and done that, I would have been even far better off. And that has always been my point about blindly holding Casper. And when I see comments like that and people saying, oh, you don't know what you're doing, it just tells me they don't know what they're doing. And what do they all seem to have in common? They're all holding Casper, and seriously, I don't think any of them are going to benefit from when Casper does eventually pump and bring life-changing returns, because they'll have fucked it off by then, because I don't think they've got the staying power. They all seem to come from Casper. Now, I get it that there'll be a lot of people in this like that in crypto in general. There's a lot of people like that in life in general. Don't worry about it. So it's not necessarily a personal dig at anybody holding Casper. I hold Casper, so what does it make me? But my point is a lot of people who seem to think technology means success, and there are absolutely loads of examples of technology not meaning success. The best technology not winning the day. Very famous, very well known in the business world. These are little basics, and sometimes you have to sell to be able to buy more. And that's exactly what I did, and it worked. Now, I always keep a bit in reserve when I do anything like that, just in case anything should happen. And that brings me back to Zcash. So, yes, obviously I sold that because the minute I bought it, and I'm talking minutes, that is when that big flash crash happened. And I only saw Zcash going down a lot more than you'd really expect it to normally. So I thought maybe that bubble's burst, and I wasn't as clued up on the pros and, the what Zcash actually is back then. And I only began to regret it, not just looking at the price, but when I was more looking at, I can barely get a sensible. I was just looking at a comment that flashed up in reply to the other one that we're talking about there. You can barely get a fucking sentence that makes sense out of them. I don't think they know what they're talking about or what they're trying to say when they say things sometimes. But it's Zcash, so all I could see was Zcash crashing a lot more than it really should do. So maybe the bubble had burst, and then I learned a lot more about it, because at that time it was like, look, if you're going to go for it, I might as well do it now and bite the bullet, because I had that spare, and I thought I might as well do it and then just ride the price and look at it, the details later. And then when I did look at the details, I'm actually it's pretty good, solid coin, really, with a lot of long-term benefits that are in it. So, yes, once I'd sold that, I kind of regretted it. Not instantly, because obviously prices went down, but it didn't quite go down at the same rate as everything else did, which was one little interesting indicator. So since then, it's been like, well, I've not had that available to be able to buy back into Zcash. And looking at it, I was looking at things thinking, well, that's going to be in the $600. I think it went to $700, and putting it out of range for getting a decent amount, at least, to get started with, an entry level. Anyway, it dropped into the, I think, $550, $540 range. So I have picked up a little bit. I've used some of my dry powder to pick up some. The thinking behind it is, it's an entry where, should it crash down, I'm not too worried. It doesn't bother me. It's not going to bother me at all. But it's just enough to be able to benefit from the profits should it continue to go up. And take profits at the, at its near its top, hopefully, and then buy back in bigger quantities when the bear market hits. But I'm just playing it by ear. But what I've done is I've got myself in, even though it could all end here, but it's enough for me not to be bothered about it. So that was kind of the half in, half out approach I've had to do now, just to make sure I am in, just in case. But if not, it's a long-term project anyway, and I will be looking what happens over the next 2, 3, 4 years as far as Zcash goes. But at least I've got an entry point, and that is, I feel better with that. And I know some people think the bubble's about to burst, and I'm equally suspicious that possibly could be on the cards. But like I said, I haven't bought that much, just a little bit, just to not worry about what I lose. So it's not massive, just enough to be in. So if it does get out of hand and that price, let's say, does go high, I'll get some nice enough profits out of it. But not only that, should it never return, at least I'm still gonna have a foot in there. I wouldn't necessarily sell it all, because I'm not sure how far that is likely to drop in the long term anyway. It could be a decent coin, but we'll just see what happens. That's just how I play it. I've got different things in my portfolio that play different roles, and that's the important thing to take into consideration. I'm not just buying coins. I'm not just chasing coins. Otherwise, I'd buy meme coins and play the gamblers market on that. That's not what I'm doing. I'm looking long term, looking at things that in 5 to 10 years are going to be decent, and making sure that at least I've got a foot in in some of them where I'd like to build them in the bear markets and be able to be pretty strong afterwards. So it's all down to that. And I'm afraid if you're, making comments like you don't know what you're doing, well, you don't have enough data to be able to make that judgment on me. You don't know what my portfolio is and what it has and where its strengths and where its speculative aims are. And I also hold Casper, and I've got significantly more Casper than I had to begin with, but I got it at a decent price, so I'm happy to hold. I'm not looking at eye-watering reds like people who have just kept buying regardless at 20 cents, at 15, at 10, and just keep chasing that red. I'm all right. I'm fine. I've got enough Casper, and I will buy it when I see dips and take advantage of it. So for all you Casper holders out there that keep saying to me, sell your Casper, yeah, I'll sell it when I need to. And I won't be selling all of it because I've got high hopes for it as well. And I think it long term, long after you lot have moved on to your next coin anyway, I'll still be holding Casper a significant enough amount that it will make life-changing returns should it do what it's predicted or what we hope it'll do. But I'm in it for the long term, and my decisions are long term. So I'm afraid, Casper community out there that seem to like to come on here and have a go, you're stuck with me because I'm holding Casper. See how long you guys are going to be holding it for. Because when you're just buying and holding and not being pragmatic about it, then you have to put up with all the heartache that comes up with that, where it's not really that bad for me. So, yeah, not bad for somebody who don't know what they're doing. Anyway, guys, let me know what you've been up to in the comments. How are things going with you? Are you thinking the market's going to turn around now a little bit? It is nice to see, don't get me wrong, it's nice to see Casper going up. I mean, that little spat fallout with Binance and all the ongoing, with the founder of Casper declining the invitation from Binance. I don't think it really helps the situation. Don't get me wrong. I can understand why he would choose to do that. And I don't think Casper should need to pay to get onto Binance. But hopefully there'll come a time when Binance will not be able to not list it because there'll be that many people wanting to buy it. But there is a bit of a, what's the word for it, kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. And I'm not sure. But I think there will come a time when Binance lists it. I think there will be, hopefully, the reasons. It's not the be-all and end-all at the moment anyway. Like I said, I think somebody even mentioned in the comments, pretty much without realising it, agreeing with what I've said, what it'll do, you get listed on Binance, it'll boost the price for a bit, it'll come back down anyway. Might not come back down to the lows we've seen now, but you'll see that pump and dump effect to it anyway, and that is what you'd expect. So I'm not disagreeing on that sort of side of things. But yeah, that's about it really. But yeah, I'm doing all right with my Casper, thank you very much, because I buy it at good prices and I make sure that I am not married to it to a point where I am not going to part with any for any reason. You know, you got to be sensible and you got to think of your own psychology. How do you feel with the amount you're holding? And for anybody who's holding it as 100% or even more, you know, even over 50% of your portfolio, well, it just makes no sense whatsoever, because you're risking everything and there are no guarantees. It's not guaranteed money. You know, we're all betting on that going to the moon, but there's no guarantees, and you have to, and sometimes making tough decisions in the interim and recognizing it's a long-term project, then you're able to make more money to buy more Casper in the long run. And that's all I've said. That's pretty much all I've said. So, and that's what I did, and it worked. So I've got more Casper, 5-6 times more Casper than I would have done had I just held my Casper. So That's all. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye-bye.